good, bro. How's yours?
Yeah, not too bad.
Nice.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers, bro. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for doing this.
No worries. It's good.
Just wanted to sort of like chat to you about a few things. Like, firstly, how'd you get into rugby?
I think footy was like... It wasn't rugby to start with. I think I grew up in Townsville. Sort of played league all through my younger years.
You're league as well, bro.
Yeah, league, bro, since probably like under sixes, young as.
Okay.
And then grade 9, moved to Brisbane, moved to Nudgee. It's like a family thing. My dad went, all my brothers went, granddad went.
Oh wow.
So yeah, first year was at rugby was grade 9. Yeah, 6 years ago.
Oh, that's kind of scary. It's only 6 years ago.
Yeah, no, it's gone quick too. Quick as.
So your grandfather went there to Nudgee as well?
Yeah, bro. He was born in Ayr. It's like a small town outside of Townsville. It used to take him like 2 days. He'd catch a train down. Take him 2 days to get to Brisbane. He stayed at Nudgee for like 3 months at a time. Come back home. See his family.
It's funny you say that because my old school, which is sort of like out of the middle of nowhere as well.
Yeah.
For regional people, like the amount of time they took to actually go into actually board at that private school was there's a bit of time.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous, honestly. Like thinking back at it now, how easy it was for me to like get on a plane, hour and a half, be back home.
It's a bit different.
Yeah.
Now you got a strong heritage, with your Italian background.
Yeah.
Is your grandfather quite like did he immigrate here to Australia at all?
Yeah, so he was born here. His parents immigrated here, and then they like basically grew up in Ayr. It's like a cane farm family, so
okay.
They're all cane farmers. So was dad. But no, he was a very strong heritage man. But he passed away about 3 years ago.
Sorry,
Nah, he lived a good life, bro. He enjoyed it. He got to send his boys to Nudgee as well, so that was a big thing for him.
Yeah, so let's talk about Nudgee before we sort of like chat about your time here at Brothers. Your first year at Nudgee, like what was that like for you?
Oh, it was big, bro. It was like, I just heard stories from all my brothers. It was like, you need to go, and I actually left a year earlier than all my brothers did.
So how many brothers do you have, bro?
2, so I got one 24 and 28.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, so they both went. So it was basically like one brother went to school. When he left, the next one went. When he left, the next one went.
Okay.
So mum and dad had like 12 years straight of all the boys just
wow.
rolling through there. But that first year it was good. Like obviously boarding.
The adjustment?
Yeah, a little bit, but I loved it, bro. Had some family down here, so it was sweet.
Yeah, so you're a league going into play. Obviously, probably arguably the best rugby school in Australia. What was the transition like?
Oh, I had no idea, bro. Honestly, like,
okay.
And we had big pre-seasons there, so that sort of got me in the line. And honestly, I had no clue. I was playing Flyhalf, and I think it was 14 A's.
Oh, 14 A's.
And then, or 15 A's maybe,
yep.
And
straight into it.
Sort of, because I was a halfback in league, so it was like not too much difference, but completely different game, But transition was it just took a while, maybe a good year until I actually understood it. Started watching more games and actually got the read of the game.
So, do you think it's more that your family was connected to Union so much as the reason you transitioned from league, or is you going for yourself personally?
Yeah, I think we were all league growing up, and then all my brothers went to Union after that, and I always knew I was probably going to go there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably a little bit of the reason why, but I'd never look back at league. Like, Union's
so what do you love about Union?
I think just like the difference I pick big is probably, it's just more technical, bro. It's like, you need to be also like, it's hard like league. You got to be big boy, you got to be like tough and all that, but Union, there's like a little bit more of a mental game to it, I think, especially between like you and your teammates. And I don't know, it's just, that's what I believe, a bit more technical.
Okay. So let's talk through your time at, I guess, your education of rugby at Nudgee. Why do you think that particular school has so much success with the game?
I think if you're like a person that wants to like do it properly at school, like you can really get into it, because it's you live and breathe it there, really. Like you wake up, everyone's talking about it, all the teachers are talking to you about it. Like if that last year when we had that, like we were in first and stuff like that, it's just all everybody spoke about.
Yeah.
Like it's massive, and the education side of it's like our pre-season was probably like 40 weeks, and then for 8 games.
40-week pre-season.
Yeah, we used to get sent the list for the week.
40 weeks.
Every time, and have like week 17, week 32, week 40, and be for like 8 games. And I think it's just all we knew really. We'd finish the season in term 3, grade 11,
Yeah.
and then term 4 would come around, and we'd start pre-season for the next year.
So just give me that number again. Just
It was I remember it's something like 40 or 41 week pre-seasons
That is crazy.
before like we kicked off our first round.
That is just crazy.
Mm.
Okay, I have a bit more of an understanding as to why you guys have done so well in I guess in the GPS competition. 40 weeks. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a bit over the top maybe for some, but if you were doing it, you loved it, so you didn't
So
really
what do you
seem
think
like
that that school in particular had that culture sort of built around? Okay, it's acceptable to have 40-week pre-season. Because like I can understand that for like the first 15, but what was it like for the lower grades? Like was it that sort of?
Oh no, lower grades were definitely less.
Yeah.
But they were still very full on. Like
Yeah.
they coach those boys into what they can push them to like their max sort of,
Yeah.
and I think that's why they get so much results and success.
Is it a cultural thing? Do you think that's the reason why it's it's ingrained into that school in such a high level that you just accept it coming into it?
Yeah, I think so. I think, and the boys are just like they see everybody else win, so like they just want to win.
Okay.
And like I think my time there, I lost 2 games with Nudgee in 4 years.
Okay, 4 years. So when did you actually make your first 15 debut?
It's actually at Cort when we played in grade 11.
Oh yeah.
I played against State High.
That's all right.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty cool moment. And I think it was before Australia played Argentina.
I remember seeing that game. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was good. I got to kick a goal at Suncorp. It was pretty cool. In grade 11, you felt like you're on top of the world. And then I played maybe 2 more games that year.
It's pretty. Like, I think it's if you're playing it, while you've still got another year to go. First 15, but that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, no, it is. They did that a lot. Like they sort of blooded that next year of boys coming through.
Yeah. How did that sort of set you up for your final year at school?
Just made me feel more comfortable, especially at 10. I was playing 10 in my final years at school, and it just, mate, you got to I think I was a part of that first program since grade 10. So you're around all the boys, like you train with their squad, but you obviously play in seconds and 16As and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it definitely helped into the last year because you just knew everyone. It was just like, it wasn't such like a big pressure thing because you're just slotting into a spot.
Yeah. So, it just makes it a lot more, I guess, easier on you as a player to sort of make that transition. What would you sort of talk about, because, coaching is a huge aspect of the game. Like, what can you sort of about the coaches that you had over at Nudgee?
Just looking back to the detail that we went into was the closest thing I could probably describe it to is like semi-professional nearly, because even at Brothers, we go into a lot of detail, but the time that they have is, you got way more time with them because I'm living at the school. Most of the boys in the first team are living there.
Yeah.
So they're coming to the dorms, we're going doing video sessions, just a little detail from all the coaches. It's just, they got so much time, right? So
that's so true. I never really thought of it that way. But it is in a way because you are spending so much time with, because you're living on campus, essentially.
And my first coach was a teacher of mine as well in a subject, and I think Scotney.
Oh, okay,
Scotney, yeah.
What did he teach again? I forgot.
It was like a PE teacher sort of thing.
Yeah.
We'd have some classes and he'd just let the boys do their thing, and I'd go with him and we'd just watch some videos and shit. It was pretty chill, but he lived and breathed it. They all do.
Yeah. Because that's the thing is, it's, what were your highlights for you in that final year?
There was a few. I think it sort of sucked because that was 2020, it was COVID, and watching all the other years where it's we'd have Nudgee versus Ceres or something like that, and it'd just be packed, the whole place would be crawling with people. We didn't have all our home games.
I forgot about that.
No one could come, bro. It sort of sucked, but there was still definitely some highlights. Thinking back, it wasn't a highlight, but we lost the BBC in that game, and it's just
Yeah.
Like all the boys were on the road because no one could come to the grandstands and everything.
That did suck. I mean, from a personally, because obviously I'm a BBC supporter, I was like, it's one of the greatest things I've ever seen. But I know, like, from yourself and Laz and the other boys, it's it was probably a tough one to sort of lose, especially in that year. It was a tough year to begin with, but we're putting all that preparation in. But I think, like, across the board with the program itself, that was pretty successful. You had a pretty successful year.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think most years are, to be fair. I can't really remember a year that wasn't, but it was a tough loss. But looking back on it now, it's like learned so much more from like losing stuff like that and all the big preparation leading up to like one moment, and it didn't work out. But it's all good now.
Yeah, but, you got to sort of take it. It was, life's like that, though.
Yeah, exactly. It was a big life lesson.
It's a huge life lesson because there's a lot of like anticipation in that game, from all levels. Whether I think if you're just a fan of rugby, like, because obviously you guys were the favourites, but it's also the history attached to it, that particular game as well. With BBC, but I think it was just a great spectacle. It's a real shame, like you said, that people couldn't watch it.
Yeah, exactly. And like looking back at it, we went and checked all the streams on YouTube and stuff, and it was ridiculous, like how many people were viewing it. And it's just cool to think about that when you're such a young age.
Well, that's the thing, they may not be there physically, but it's a huge audience for that game.
No, you realise how big it is the years afterwards because people are still talking to you about it. They're still bringing it up.
I still remember that game like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's the reason why, for me personally, like being a BBC supporter is because this whole rugby journey that I started was at BBC. Like I fell in love with the game again by filming rugby there. So so that's my connection to the club. But I just think in general as a player, you put so much effort into that season, and it's not just that particular season, especially yourself being it's your final year of high school. There's a lot to play for, but there's still things there that try you scored us. That was dope. So
didn't know I had a running game until that game, eh?
You had a game, bro. You got that game. So that's probably what you sort of caught my attention, I guess, was that try. I suppose we sort of watch you bits and pieces, but it was that try that kind of like, I think that sort of put you on the radar for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah.
Have many people talked about that try in the past?
Yeah, they have, bro. They have. It's like, because it's never sort of something I've really done. Like, as a 10, you get taught to just distribute.
Yeah.
And then like finding a running game, and that's probably why I've shifted to 12 and 13 in my later years now. They have. It's been pretty cool, but it's also like taught me heaps about my game.
Yeah, it's just understand what your strengths are and backing yourself. There's all those things that you sort of get out of that. So understand your connection to Nudgee now.
Yeah.
I always wanted a bit more about that, so that's cool. Like for your family in particular, like how are they? Because you were the last man standing. Like how do they all feel like after you sort of left?
Yeah, it is. It's pretty surreal too because I think all Dad's brothers had sons that finished as well. So I was the last of ours for a while at least. Wow. Dad always joked about adopting a kid and sending one more. But he loved it, man. My family loved it. They were down. Dad was down every game. He still comes down like every game at Brothers. Yeah. My brother lives here. He's at every game. It was a big thing, but it was sort of like we realised it's sort of like the end of a journey. Yeah. Opening up a new chapter now, and hopefully be able to send my kids there.
I think that's the thing with a lot of like families. It is about the kid, but it's also, I guess, as parents, it's about the community. It's a big part of your lives. It's not just about your son or your daughter going to that school and playing that particular sport, but there's a relationship you develop as a result of all that.
Yeah, 100%. It's a cultural thing there, and they all get involved in it.
So, in case you were wondering why I've been sort of like changed to this, it's a bit warm at the moment, so we've both taken our jackets off. So yeah, like now obviously you're wearing your workplace. Let's chat about F45.
Yeah, it's sort of got the gig through Dalle. He's down at Brothers there a bit. Obviously an old rugby boy there, bit of an icon with Reds and stuff like that. I got my shoulder done last year, and I was sort of out of work because I worked in a warehouse, and he came up to me one day. He's like, "What are you doing for work?" I was like, "Oh, nothing, bro. Like, I'm just getting out of my sling, looking to start back up somewhere." And he just said, "Come work for me." I was like, "Well, I didn't even know what he did." And I was like, "He's like, oh, yeah." I was like,
"What work for me?"
I was like, "What do you mean?"
You're a professional hitman.
Yeah. Well, he's like, "I run a couple of F45s." I was like, "Oh, sick," because I finished my Cert 3 in fitness, and
Oh, so you actually had completed?
yeah, and then I just finished my Cert 4 in fitness as well. So I started working for him.
That's about timing, right? That's
Yeah. It's been probably 10 months, 11 months now,
Yep.
and it's good. It's obviously early mornings, but it works well with studies as well. We started at 4 o'clock this morning, come home, it's all split shift.
So what do you like about being a personal trainer?
I think it's like the personal side of it, obviously. Like I like to talk to people, learn stories and whatnot.
Yep.
And like the amount of stuff that people tell you is crazy. Like you get into their personal life, like you see them every day, right? So
yeah, that's true.
they're talking to you about everything, and then obviously the bodily change of it all, like learning how the human body works,
Yep.
training people, and helps me stay fit for footy.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of pluses for the role, but I guess seeing people grow as well. Like in a way, you're a bit of a coach.
Yeah.
Like what are some of the? I mean, you've obviously only been in that role for a short period of time, but are there any success stories that you've been been proud to be part of?
Yeah, definitely. It's like everyone says it's a little bit of like a cult sort of thing out there because everyone gets so involved, and when you become a part of it, it's like a little bit of a family. So they got we had one of the blokes at Lutwich, he's got diagnosed with like bad brain cancer.
Yeah.
And we had a day for him where basically everybody just rocked up, and it was like burpees for Paul, and like I think Dalle and Angie, the owners of it, donated $5 every burpee somebody did. And the amount of people that rocked up and the amount of people that did burpees was just ridiculous. Like,
Oh wow.
they ended up raising, I can't remember what the figure was, but it was crazy how many people rocked up and just like kept doing burpees. It was like, that was a pretty big thing for me there.
Yeah.
And then obviously we got challenges and stuff, and seeing like the growth of like the bodily change of people's, like once they get stuck into it, it's crazy.
Well, that's the thing, you're ultimately you're making people healthy. So that's it's probably one of those undervalued professions, I think, with personal training. Like that's kind of like I'm doing stuff around that right at the moment with training young people, but just from an educational point of view. But yeah, I'm a huge advocate for S&C coaches and personal trainers. So you sort of touched on there very briefly that you're studying as well. What are you studying?
Yeah, I'm doing financial planning at QT. I think it's 2 years to go now, halfway.
Okay.
But I think it's another good reason why I like this job. Like, it's all split shifts, so you got early mornings. I come home, have some brekkie, go back to work, go to the gym, come home, and then I can study all day basically.
Yep.
Or try to, at least, if I'm not sleeping.
Yeah, you sound you got some pretty full-on sort of career at the moment with rugby and university, as well as your full-time job. So like, what financial planning? What's your interest there?
I always had like an interest for it, really, and back home, Dad's got a financial planning business, and his brother runs a franchise down here.
Yeah.
And I think once I've completed that, it'd be nice to sort of move into that industry, maybe.
Family business.
Obviously, rugby's the main goal, but got to have a plan B, right?
Well, that's the thing. It's not. I don't look at it as a plan B as well. It's just all you're doing is you're providing another skill set. Always go with your main plan, but you've got another skill set there to sort of utilise as well at some point.
Yeah, and I find an interest in it. I think it'd be a waste if it was just if I didn't pursue it. So I want to get it done at least. Just have it in the back pocket.
Yeah, it's something that it's always going to be part of your life at some point. Financial planning is what makes the world go round in a lot of ways. It's all about the money. So let's go a bit back to your I guess your connection to Brothers.
Yeah.
How did that sort of come about?
Through my brother. He was. I've always been a brothers boy. Everywhere I've played, Townsville Brothers, played Touching Brothers.
Yep.
And then my brother, I think he finished school in 2016, and North's tried to get him there.
Yep.
And then he had a couple connections here as well. I think I can't remember who he sat down with, but he ended up playing here, and he enjoyed it, bro. He loved it. So I think it was just like I'll just come here. I think I had one season here in grade 9,
Okay.
where I was like playing the younger years
Yep.
to learn footy before we had Nudgee footy.
Yep.
So it's like that was sort of like a little bit more of like a learning the game because I had no idea what was up.
Yep.
So I think that was my connection. And then all my mates just come here. So it's like, why not?
That's the thing. You've got a good, like good friendship group. I think what's a lot of, I guess, players that go to clubs is the mates are going there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost a Kefu to you guys, so
Yeah.
that was like a bit, so that's a bit weird. A Kefu being a playing for brothers.
Yeah. It was this year, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like doing over there, bro. So anyway, but it's a thing. But a lot of his mates come here, so it's,
Yeah.
it's what you're comfortable with,
Yeah.
and if you've got that friendship group around you, it just makes it a lot more comfortable being a club. I feel anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
So you're going from one, I guess, organisation which has a long history of success with Nudgee, pretty much filtering to another
Yeah.
organisation that has a long history of success in the game of rugby.
Yeah.
Like, is that part of the reason? Obviously, you want to play with your mates, but you want to go to a successful club. Is that part of the reason you're coming here?
Yeah, I think so. If you put it that way, I didn't really look at anywhere else. But if you put it that way, like looking at, say, if I was to go to Norths, like a part of the success history, obviously you'd want to be more attracted to come to a club that's more successful. And I think it didn't really play that big of a role for me, just because I'd come here on weekends when I was at school and watch games and stuff like that. So that was more of like
more a personal connection.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's cool.
But
I like that. Sorry, mate.
You're
I
right.
turned the volume down. I said pause for a second.
you're good.
And just turn that down. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so there's a personal connection to the organisation.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So, in the time that you've been here, you've had some mixed luck in terms of your time here. So let's just sort of chat about that.
Nah, definitely. I think in that last year at school, I think I did my shoulder with 2 games to go, and then I played the last 2 games. It was something I could play with, and then I got it done that last year in around November, and the physio I was at the time sort of just told me, have a year off. It'd be good to just take it easy. In reality, I probably could have come back. So I had that first year off at Brothers here, where I just hung around the club and sort of got to know some of the coaches and most of the boys that were there. And then last year was really my first year here, so it was like I rocked up to pre-season, itching to go because I had 12 months off the field. So it was like you just wanted to do something.
Yeah.
Started in Colts, and I had my first game at 12 actually. I thought I was a 10, always played as 10, but I started playing 12 and it was like a completely different game that I started playing, because it's like obviously 12 and 10 are very different. Everyone says they are pretty similar, but the way we played them was very different to me at least.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that, bro. And I'll never look back at going back to 10 really. I see myself as a 12 now. From that first year at Colts, it was I just started to play a brand of footy that I liked a bit more. I didn't really like my footy at Nudgee, and then I found a love again for the game when I come here, and it sort of just took itself from there really. I think I played 7 games in Colts last year, and then just through injuries and opportunities, had a game in Reggie's at Bond, and it was sort of like a bit of a breakout game, and another injury happened, and then before I knew it I was 19 and playing Prems against Jeeps at Jeeps. And it was it's surreal looking back at that now. It's honestly a little bit crazy.
Yeah, it was, it's up and down year, but I guess the highlight was, Prem grade debut.
Yeah.
And you also been involved with the EDP programs. Tell me a bit more about that.
No, that's the thing that I grew very fond of last year actually, and it sucked a bit that I couldn't do that this year just through time and studies and whatnot. But I had to give that a miss this year, which is unfortunate. But last year it was just like it was every Wednesday, so we'd have training for your team on Tuesday, Thursdays. We'd come down on Wednesdays, and Damien Steele ran that program, and he sort of just. It's hard to explain to somebody that hasn't done it because it was like we'd come there, and it's just all the boys that wanted to really buy into it and really like fine-tune their skills.
Yep.
Really, that's the way I looked at it. It was an opportunity to get good at the things that you could be great at.
Yep.
We'd rock up and you'd just do different training drills that you wouldn't do at training to like position specific. A lot of around like organising and like it helped me understand the game because I'm still learning. Obviously, it's still new to me in a way, and I think that's what helped me with my footy and like the finishing touches sort of stuff that made like footy.
So you found there's more clarity in your game now with
definitely
from that program.
Yeah, and he's still. I always say he's a great coach. He explains everything to you like the way you'll understand it because my mate next to me won't understand it the same way, but he'll break it down to me and really make it make sense.
So you're saying it's more each individual player's needs to go for?
Yeah, definitely. And I think he attacks that real well. Like he understands and breaks it down to each boy to how they'll get it.
Okay. So you're pretty happy with I guess your progression with that game, but bit of an up and down a year again this year.
No, definitely. I think obviously at the end of last year, did my other shoulder in my third game for Prems, which sort of sucked, bro. It's just like, why me again? Like I played 12 games last year and it just started to get good, and then it was just like, back in. So I've had both done now, and then same with this year. It was a bit of a later start. Missed a couple games at the start of the year, just from sheer time you had to miss just to get back into it.
Yeah.
And then, started back in Reggie's, as you do, just trying to work your way back up with injuries and just try and get your spot back, really. But up and down, but I've loved every minute of it. It's been good.
Yeah. Big game this weekend?
It is, bro. I was speaking to my coach actually yesterday or Sunday. First ever semi final I've really ever played, to be fair. I haven't. Ever? Well, yeah, like last year didn't play, first year Brothers didn't play. Nudgee didn't really have semis.
Yeah.
Back home, like, I wouldn't really count under 11s and 12s.
So that's really it. This is your first finals?
Yeah, it is sort of, bro. And like, never won a
minor
minor premiership before. We won that. It's a pretty good feeling, but I never won a grand final either, so it'd be nice to.
Hey, that's a good point.
Yeah, it'd sort of be nice.
Might be leading all up to that, bro.
I hope so, bro. It'd be a good feeling, definitely.
My team probably have a different story, but hopefully we will try and have that. Because last year's game for me,
crazy.
When Louis kicked that, and obviously Louis is over at West now, but when he kicked that, it's one of those moments of like when I film something, and part of me wants to pull it away because I'm just disgusted by it. But at the same time, I love that reaction from the crowd. Like, like the enthusiasm. Like again, obviously it's against my team, but it's those special moments is why you play rugby.
Yeah, 100%.
So like that's one of my favourite sporting moments, even though it's obviously with you guys. Like, it is one of my favourite. Heartbreaking for me and my club, but it's still a great sporting moment. It'll be interesting if it happens again this year.
It will. It definitely will be. I think this weekend's huge for us. We get a home final. Jeeps, obviously played them a couple of weeks ago. Solid team. It'd just be nice to get a win, have a week off, get the body right, because I think everybody's a bit battered and bruised leading up to this last block, because I think we've had like 8 games straight with no buys. So I think everybody deserves a little bit of a week off.
Well, mate, this is your opportunity, home ground advantage.
It is.
And it's an opportunity to have a bit of a rest, so there's a lot to play for. So I'll sort of like close up with, it's probably got a bit on to think about.
Yeah.
Like, what do you sort of see like in terms of your career? Like, what would you like to do over the next 5 years? What are some of your goals?
I think I actually wrote these down the other day, sort of like a...
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
That's
a
good
short
timing.
term and like a long term-ish goal. I think short term was just to like finish this year off with a premiership, and just like enjoy the rest of this year, because I think I don't enjoy it enough like until it's over. Like sort of enjoy the moment, like this finals series, like actually be a part of it and don't just put like too much pressure on it. Just enjoy the footy I'm playing.
Yep.
And then maybe like a long term goal is obviously to pick up a contract somewhere,
Yep.
whether that be in Brisbane, anywhere in Australia, overseas, sort of open to anything like that.
Yeah.
That's probably a big long-term goal of mine.
Yeah, bro, like you're certainly talented enough. You know, I think you're one of those players in like you can sort of like really change the course of a game. So I'm hoping so, my bro. But thanks for the chat.
Thank you, my bro. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate the time, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, I like a rematch.
It is. It
I
is.
like a rematch.
And I hope to see you boys in the finals, eh?
That's it, brother.
Cheers, man. Appreciate it.
And I can feel bad, so now